The sweet memories of the little peach's pink orchard in Grandpa's orchard. There is a tall peach tree. At the very top of its branches hangs the most eye-catching peach, and everyone calls her Fen-Fen. Her body was plump and round. She wore a tender pink coat, which was covered with a layer of fine white down, as if sprinkled with a handful of white granulated sugar. On her head was a small green hat, 2 tiny peach leaves. When the wind blew, they swayed gently, as if greeting a passing bird. When the peach leaves are not yet ripe, they are green. After being exposed to enough sunlight, they will gradually turn red from the tip and eventually become tender pink all over. They will also give off a sweet peach fragrance. Even butterflies flying by can't help but stop on the peach leaves to smell them. That early morning, just as Fen-Fen was moistened by the morning dew and shone brightly, she heard the anxious Gigi sound. It was the chirping of a little sparrow. It had been flying for a long time, its stomach growling with hunger, but it couldn't find anything good to eat. Shu landed on the peach branch and smelled the sweet fragrance on Fen-Fen. Its eyes lit up immediately, but it was afraid that its little paws might damage Fen-Fen and dared not approach. Fen-Fen quickly shook the little peach leaf on top of her head and said, "Shu, don't be shy. The fragrance on my body is inviting you." Shu carefully pecked at a small bite of Fen-Fen's flesh. Sweet juice spread in its mouth. It happily flapped its wings and said, "Thank you, Fen-Fen. Your flesh is sweeter than nectar. I'm finally not hungry." In the morning, the sun rose slowly. The little snail in the orchard was slowly looking for the sweetest dew, but after crawling for a long time, it only found a few slightly astringent leaves. Slowly smelling the sweet fragrance of the powder, I climbed up the tree trunk slowly and waved my antennae at the powder. Powder. Do you know where there is sweet dew water? Fen-Fen pointed at the morning dew on her peach leaf. It was deliberately kept by her, shiny and still carrying the fragrance of peaches. Slowly lying on the peach leaf, she sipped the dew in small mouthfuls and shook her shell at Fen-Fen. "Thank you, Fen-Fen. Your dew is much sweeter than the one I found, and it even carries your fragrance." At noon, Duadwul, a little girl from the neighbor's house, came to the orchard to help her grandpa pick fruits. She immediately saw the pink ones at the top of the branches and her eyes lit up. "Grandpa, this peach is so pink. It must be extremely sweet." Grandpa smiled and nodded, then brought over a small stool and asked Duadwa to carefully pick off Fen-Fen. Duadwa held Fen-Fen in her palm, reluctant to eat it immediately. She whispered to Fen-Fen, "Fen-Fen, you are so beautiful. I'm going to take you to Lele to have a look." Fen-Fen lay in Duadwa's palm, feeling the warm temperature and feeling sweet in her heart. It turned out that she was not just a peach, but could make a child so happy. Duadwo took Fen-Fen to look for her good friend Lely. When Lely saw Fen-Fen, he immediately cheered. "Wow! This peach is more pink than any I've ever seen. Let's treat it as the little star of snacks and playhouse." They found a clean lotus leaf as a plate, placed the pink powder in the middle of the leaf, and also found a small branch as a fork, playing the afternoon tea game one after another. Tired from playing duardwo and Lely shared fenfen together, they took bites each other, and the sweet flesh made both of them laugh so hard that they squinted their eyes. Lele said while eating, "This is the sweetest peach I've ever eaten because I shared it with duardwo." In the afternoon, dark clouds suddenly drifted from the sky, and it seemed that it was about to rain. Fenfen recalled the little ladybug Diandian in the corner of the orchard. Its back shell was a bit cracked and it was afraid of getting wet by the rain. Fenfen quickly asked the peach friends who had not yet been picked to shake the branches, using the rustling of the leaves to remind Dian. Dian heard the sound and quickly climbed to the branch where Fenfen had been hanging before. This peach leaf was big and green, just right to keep off the rain. When the raindrops fell with a drip-drip sound, the dots lay under the leaves and shook the spot in the direction before the pink powder. "Thank you, pink powder. Your reminder came faster than raindrops. I didn't get wet at all." In the evening, the setting sun died, the orchard orange-red. Grandpa washed the peaches he had picked and put them in a plate. Duardwo and Lele surrounded them. He also invited Juju and Mung Mung. Mung Mung was lying on the edge of the plate to have a sharing session together. Grandpa picked up a peach and said with a smile, "Look, the tiny peach can not only fill your stomach, but also help friends and bring happiness. That's the sweetest part." Duardwo and Lele nodded half understandingly and picked up another peach. Today's peach seemed sweeter than usual because it contained Fenfen's enthusiasm. When the moon rose, the orchard was quiet, and the remaining peach branches were still gently swaying. Although Fenfen was eaten, her sweetness remained in Duardwo and Lely's mouths, and her enthusiasm stayed in Juju and Mung Mung's hearts. When Grandpa was clearing the plates, he carefully collected the pink peach pits, planning to plant them in the orchard again next year. He knew that next spring new peach saplings would sprout here and new pink would grow, continuing to spread sweetness and joy in the orchard. Such days would be sweeter than the flesh of peaches and more colorful than the outer skin of the pink. The soft little earthworm's guardian story of the vegetable garden in Grandma's vegetable garden. There is a little underground hero hidden, a soft earthworm, which everyone calls Ruin. He was dressed in a dark brown tight-fitting suit, his body slippery and without limbs, yet he could nimbly crawl in and out of the soil, leaving narrow channels as if weaving a breathable small net for the soil. During the day, Ruin hides in the soil, and only at night does she quietly stick her head out to look at the stars in the vegetable garden. Grandma always says, with Ruin around, our vegetables can grow lush and green. At first, the little ants and ladybugs in the vegetable garden were a little afraid of him, thinking he looked strange, until a few minor incidents occurred. That early morning, the leaves of the little green vegetables planted by Grandma were a bit wilted, and the soil was so hard that not even rainwater could seep in. Soft, who had been hiding in the soil, sensed it and quickly scurried around beside the roots of the green vegetables. Wherever his body had crawled, the hard soil gradually became soft, leaving tiny holes that allowed air and moisture to seep in. It wasn't long before the little green vegetables gradually unfurled their leaves and turned lush green. Little Aunt Guagu passed by the green vegetables and saw Ruan in the soil. For the first time, she took the initiative to greet them. Ruan, so you are helping the green vegetables loosen the soil. No wonder the green vegetables look so energetic again. You're even more amazing than the little shovel. Soft poked its head out of the soil and gently swayed its body, as if saying, "This is what I should do." In the morning, as the sun gradually rose, little ladybug Dion was playing in the vegetable garden when she accidentally dropped her favorite red bead into the soil. It was a gift from her little owner, Duadwo Dion. Dion was so anxious that she rummaged through the soil but could not find it no matter how hard she tried. When Guagu saw this, he quickly went to ask Ruan for help. Ruan, the little bead has fallen into the soil. Can you help it look for it? Ruan immediately got up at the spot where the beads had dropped. His body could feel the tiny hard objects in the soil. In no time, he pushed the small beads to the ground. Dion saw Ju, Z, and happily lay down beside Ruan. Thank you, Ruan. Your body is more sensitive than my little claws. I've finally found the pearl. From then on, the friends in the vegetable garden no longer found Ruan strange, and always came to play with him. At noon, Duadwo came to the vegetable garden to observe the nature work. She squatted on the ground, wanting to see if there were any small creatures in the soil. Grandma pointed at the soft earthworm in the soil and whispered to Duadwo, look. This is the soft earthworm. It's a little hero in the vegetable garden. It can help the soil become fertile and make the vegetables grow better. Duadwo gently held Ruan in her palm. Ruan wasn't afraid at all and was still slowly crawling in her palm. Duadwo smiled and said, Ruan is so cute. I didn't know earthworms were so powerful. I'm going to draw them in my homework. She took out a drawing paper and carefully drew the image of Ruan bursling in the soil. She also drew green vegetables beside it and marked Little Hero of the Vegetable Garden Earthworm Ruan. In the afternoon, dark clouds suddenly drifted from the sky, and it seemed that it was about to rain. Soft thought of the little snail in the corner of the vegetable garden. Slowly, its shell was a little cracked. Fearing that it would be washed into the deep soil by the rain, Ruan quickly climbed to Mang's side and used her body to dig a small pit around Mang. Then she pushed the fallen leaves beside her to the edge of the pit, as if she had built a small house for Mang. When the rain started, I slowly hid in a pit and wasn't washed away at all. After the rain stopped, I slowly climbed to Ruan's side and said, "Thank you, Ruan. Your pit is safer than my shell. I'm not afraid of the rain anymore. I shook my body gently and looked at the vegetable garden after the rain, together with Mungman. The air was filled with the fresh fragrance of the earth. In the evening, the setting sun dyed the vegetable garden orange red. Duarduo showed her grandma the homework she had drawn and deliberately pointed out the soft parts to her grandma. Grandma smiled and picked a sweet strawberry for Duarduo and also left a small piece for Ruanruan to put in the soil that was Ruanruan's favorite food. The friends in the vegetable garden gathered around Ruanruan. Guaguo shared the breadcrumbs she had found, and Diandian showed off the small beads she had lost and found again. They slowly lay down beside her to bask in the sun. Everyone was very happy. Soft and Soft lay in the soft soil, feeling that although she was unremarkable, she could help the green vegetables grow, find small beads, and build rain shelters. It was much more interesting than just crawling round in the soil. When the moon rose, Soft slowly sank into the soil, getting ready to rest. The vegetable garden is quiet, with only the rustling sound of the evening breeze brushing against the vegetable leaves. Thanks to Ruanruan, this small vegetable garden has become increasingly fertile and lively. Ruanruan knew that when the sun rose tomorrow, he could continue to loosen the soil in the vegetable garden and play with his friends. Such days were sweeter than the food in the soil and more comfortable than the soft soil.
A heartwarming memory of the blue bear's blue forest. In the misty forest, there lived a special little bear, which everyone called Xiong Lan. Unlike other little bears, he was not brownish. Instead, he had a coat of deep blue fur, like a coat woven from the sky. When the sunlight shone on him, it would give off a faint glow. Even the tips of his ears were tinged with a light white, as if they had been touched by a few snowflakes. Xiong Lan's personality is as gentle as his color. He speaks softly and walks slowly. He always likes to share the honey he finds with his friends. The little animals in the forest all say, "When we see Xiong Lan's blue fur, our hearts feel warm." That early morning, a light rain fell in the forest, and the air was cool and refreshing. Little squirrel Guogu, holding the pine nuts it had just found, was shivering in a tree hole. Its little nest was soaked by the rain, and there wasn't even a dry cushion. Xiong Lan passed by the tree hole and heard Guogu's soft sigh. She quickly stopped and said softly to the tree hole, "Guogu, don't be afraid. My fur is very warm. You can lean against me." Guogu climbed out carefully and dived into Xiong Lan's arms. Her deep blue fur was like a soft little quilt, keeping the cold wind out. Guogu was munching on a pine nut, and her heart suddenly felt cold. "Thank you, Xiong Lan. Your fur is warmer than my little nest, as if wrapped in a little sun." In the morning, the sun slowly rose, and the rain gradually dried up. Little Rabbit Rongrong was practicing jumping in the forest when she accidentally sprained her ankle. Sitting on the grass, she was in so much pain that she was crying. Xiong Lan happened to pass by with a honey jar on her back. She quickly put it down, gently picked up Rongrong, and rubbed her face with her soft fur. "Rongrong, don't be sad. I'll take you to my place to rest. I still have sweet honey." He held Rongrong and walked slowly, deliberately avoiding the path with small pebbles. When she arrived at Xiong Lan's tree-hole home, Rongrong drank the sweet honey and her feet seemed to hurt less. She touched Xiong Lan's blue fur and said, "Xiong Lan, your home is so comfortable. The honey is sweet. You are the gentlest little bear I have ever seen." At noon, the little animals in the forest gathered in the open space to play hide and seek, but everyone thought it was too difficult to find a place to hide. Either they hid too obviously, or they would be scratched by the branches. Seeing everyone's anxious looks, Xiong Lan suddenly said, "You can hide beside me." My hair color is bright, so it's not easy for everyone to notice that you are hiding behind me. Little hedgehog Q was the first to hide behind Bear Blue, with its round body just covered by the blue fur. Little ladybug Dian lay on Xiong Lan's ear, like a tiny red dot. The little animals they were looking for searched for a long time but couldn't find them. Finally, it was Xiong Lan who smiled and pointed at them, and everyone suddenly understood. Q happily said, "Xiong Lan, your blue fur is so amazing. It's even safer than a tree hole. Next time I play hide and seek, I'll still hide beside you." In the afternoon, a strange little fox named Duo came to the forest. Duo had just moved to the forest and didn't know any other little animals yet. She sat alone by the river, lost in thought, looking a bit lonely. After seeing this, Xiong Lan walked over with a small piece of honey and gently sat beside Duo, saying, "Hello, Duo, I'm Xiong Lan. Would you like to play with me?" Duo looked up and saw Xiong Lan's gentle eyes and deep blue fur. Her heart immediately calmed down. She took the honey and whispered, I'm a bit shy and don't know how to play with everyone." Xiong Lan smiled and said, "It doesn't matter. I'll take you to meet your friends. They are all very friendly." He took Duo's hand and introduced him to Guogu, Rong, and QQ. They soon started playing games together, and a smile appeared on Duo's face. In the evening, the setting sun dyed the forest orange-red. Under the setting sun, the bare blue fur seemed to have an additional layer of warm light. The little animals gathered around Xiong Lan, sharing the remaining honey and listening to him tell stories about his childhood. Duo leaned against Xiong Lan's arms and whispered, "Xiong Lan, it's so nice to have you around. I feel so warm in the forest now." Xiong Lan patted Duo's head and said softly, "As long as we are together, it will always be very warm." When the moon rose, Xiong Lan sent his friends home and returned to the tree hole himself. Leaning against the soft, dry grass, he was thinking about the happy times he had spent playing with everyone today, and the corners of his mouth gradually curled up. The forest is quiet, with only the rustling sound of the evening breeze rustling through the leaves. Thanks to Xiong Lan, this small forest has become increasingly lively and warm. Such days are sweeter than sweet honey and more beautiful than the deep blue hair. The blue little fish's adventure in the blue stream. In the small stream at the edge of the village lived a very special little fish, which everyone called Lanlin. Her scales seemed to have been dyed by the blue sky of the brook, a bright and clear deep blue. When the sunlight filtered through the water and fell on her, the scales would reflect fine, fragmented light, as if a handful of little blue stars had been scattered. Lanlin's tail is thin and big. When swimming, it can swim a long distance with just a gentle swing. It can also nimbly weave through the watergrass and crevices of rocks. The friends in the stream all say, "Follow Lanlin, and you'll never get lost." The day early in the morning, light blue just catch up a little in the crook of aquatic plants, Daphnia for breakfast. I heard "whoops" is quietly cry. Little shrimp Lily. It follow Mom to get food downstream yesterday, accidentally separated by water, turned along while in water, even can't distinguish the direction of the upstream. Small must are falling down. Lanlin hurriedly swam over, deliberately leaving her body a little above the water surface to make her deep blue scales more conspicuous in the sunlight. "Lele, don't worry. Follow my blue figure and I'll take you to find your mom." She slowed down so that Lele could always see her blue scales and deliberately avoided the rapid current, swimming along the most stable water layer. It wasn't long before the call of the shrimp mother came from afar. Lele threw herself into her mother's arms and turned back to greet Lanlin, saying, "Thank you, Lanlin. Your blue scales are like little signposts. Following you, I won't get lost at all." In the morning, as the sun gradually rose, the water temperature in the stream became warm. The little crab was looking for snails in the crevice of the stone with his pincers, but his big pincers couldn't turn well in the water and got stuck in the crevice of the stone, unable to be pulled out. He was so anxious that he was shaking his pincers with a click-click sound. Lanlin swam past and saw it. She quickly found a soft water plant and pushed it to Qianqian's pincers with her tail. "Qianqian, don't panic. Place watergrass between the pliers and the stone and pull it out slowly." Qianqian did as Lanlin said and indeed pulled out the pliers smoothly. He crawled over sideways and waved his pincers at Lanlin, saying, "Thank you, Lanlin. Your method works even better than my little paws. I can finally keep looking for snails." Lanlin also took Qianqian to a shallow water area with the most snails, and the two of them shared the delicious snail meat together. At noon, Duo, a little girl by the stream, came to sketch by the stream. She wanted to draw the most beautiful stream fish, but after looking at several small gray fish, she felt that none of them were special enough. It was not until I saw Lanlin, she was fanning her blue tail and swimming among the water plants, with the blue scales and green water plants blending together like a scene from a painting. Duo quickly picked up the paintbrush and began to draw against Lanlin, deliberately making the blue light of the scales shine brightly. After finishing the drawing, Duo held up the drawing paper and shouted to the stream, "Lanlin, look! I've drawn your blue scales! So beautiful!" Lanlin seemed to understand. She swam in a circle on the water surface in front of Duo. Her blue figure swayed back and forth as if performing for her. In the afternoon, dark clouds suddenly drifted over the sky. From the upper reaches of the stream came the whoosh-whoosh sound of water flowing. It was the muddy water washed down by the heavy rain, about to flow into the shallow water area downstream. Lanlin knew that in the shallow water area, there were newly hatched baby fish. If they were choked by the muddy water, it would be a disaster. She quickly swam to the shallow water area, wagging her tail at the little fish fry. This was their way of reminding them, and led them to swim into the deep water area. The water flow in the deep water area was more stable and less likely to be affected by muddy water. Just as the little fish fry were brought to a safe area, the muddy water flowed into the shallow water. The little fish fry wagged their tails at Lanlin, as if saying, "Thank you, Lanlin." In the evening, the setting sun dyed the brook orange-red. The blue and deep blue scales under the setting sun seemed to have an additional layer of warm light, like a little fish that could glow with orange and blue stripes. She led Lele, Qianqian, and the little fish fry to play hide-and-seek in the water grass. Lanlin hid in the green water grass, but her blue scales were too conspicuous, and everyone could find her at once. Every time they found her, they would smile very happily. Duo didn't leave either. She sat by the stream watching them play and even broke off a little of her small bread and threw it into the water for Lanlan's dinner. When the moon rose, Lanlan was still swimming slowly in the stream. Her blue figure under the moonlight was like a moving sapphire. Occasionally, she would touch the water plants beside her with her tail, as if whispering to them. The brook is quiet, with only the whoosh-whoosh sound of the water flowing over the stones. Because of Lanlin, this small brook has become more and more lively and warm. Such days are sweeter than the delicious little water fleas and more beautiful than the deep blue scales.
The warm sun caresses the sky as a companion every morning. The sky welcomes a golden companion on time, and everyone calls him Nuan. He doesn't float around like clouds, nor does he come out at night like stars. Instead, he hangs steadily in the sky, wrapped in dazzling light all over, like a big golden ball that can heat up. Nuanuan's most remarkable ability is to bring warmth to every corner when it shines on the grass. The grass will turn green. When it shines on the flowers, the flower buds will bloom. When it shines on the children's faces, it can drive away all the morning grumpiness, everyone says. With Nuan around, every day is a sweet and good day. That early morning, Nuan had just poked her head out from behind the eastern mountain when she saw the little squirrel Guogu shivering in a tree hole in the forest. It had rained cold last night, and the tree hole was a bit damp. Guoguo's little paws were red from the cold, and she didn't even have the strength to chew her favorite pine nuts. Nuan quickly turned the light a little softer and gently sprinkled it into the tree hole. Guoguo, don't be afraid. I'll warm your hands for you. The sunlight fell on Guoguo's paws as if it were covered with a warm little quilt. In no time, Guoguo stretched out its paws, hugged the pine nuts, and jumped onto the branch, shouting to the sky, "Thank you, Nuan. Your light is warmer than my little nest. Now I can jump higher." In the morning, Nuan spread the sunlight on the fields in the suburbs. She saw the little butterfly flower spinning anxiously among the flowers. Her wings were wet by the morning dew and stuck to her body, unable to fly. If she waited for the dew to dry, she might miss the appointment with her friends. Nuan quickly focused the light on Hua's wings and gently sun-dried them. Hua, don't worry. I'll dry your wings for you. The sunlight slowly evaporated the dew on the wings. Hua tried to flap her wings and flew up in an instant, even circling in the sunlight. Thank you, Nuan. Your light is more effective than the wind. I can finally meet my friends. At noon, the children in the park were playing the game of stepping on shadows, but the clouds drifted over and blocked a little of the warm light, making the shadows faint. Everyone was a bit listless. Nuan quickly discussed with Yunduo. Yunduo, could you please make way a little? The children are still waiting to play games. The clouds gently drifted away, and warm light fell down again. The shadows on the ground became crystal clear, and the children chased after each other with smiles. Duoduo in the red dress was running and shouting, Nuan, you are so nice. With your light, our game is fun. Nuan looked at the children's smiling faces, and the light seemed to have become a little brighter. In the afternoon, Nuan noticed that the little sunflower by the ridge of the field was a bit wilted. It had been facing Nuan all along. But just now, a gentle breeze had blown its flower head askew, and it could no longer turn back to look at Nuan. The little sunflower lowered its head, with its petals drooping down as if it was sad. Nuan quickly pointed the light at its flower stem and whispered, Little sunflower, don't be sad. I'm here with you. The sunlight slowly shone on the flower stems. The little sunflower seemed to gain strength, gradually turning its flower head back, smiling at Nuan again, and gently swaying its petals as if expressing gratitude. In the evening, Nuan was about to slowly walk towards the back of the western mountain. She wanted to leave everyone a sweet memento, so she adjusted the remaining light to orange, red, pink, and purple and scattered them in the sky. This was the sunset glow that everyone saw. The little birds flew back to their nests in a line, watching the sunset as they flew. The mothers were taking their children for a walk by the roadside, pointing at the sky and saying, "Look, this is a gift from Nuan Nuan to us." Duadwo held her mother's hand and shouted towards the sunset, "See you, Nuan Nuan, tomorrow. I still want to play shadow stepping with you." When the moon slowly rose, Nuan Nuan had already taken refuge behind the mountain to rest, but the warmth she left behind was still there. The grass carried the scent of the sun. The flowers concealed the traces of the sun, and in children's dreams the warm light would still appear, although Nuan Nuan is temporarily out of sight. Everyone knows that he will surely come back on time tomorrow morning, continue to bring warmth to every corner, and continue to spend a sweet day with everyone. Such days are more beautiful than the sunset glow, warmer than the sun, and more delightful than all sweet candies. Little Rabbit Rongs. Carrot surprise on the grassland by the forest lived a little rabbit named Rong. She has snow-white down with a light touch of powder on the tips of her ears. When she runs, her ears bounce back and forth like two little floating clouds. Her favorite thing to do is to go to the back mountain to look for sweet carrots. That early morning, Rong was walking back up the mountain with a small bamboo basket. Just as she passed around the dandelion grove, she saw the little hedgehog Kuki squatting on the ground, sighing. Kuki wanted to pick strawberries for his mother, but the small thorns on the strawberry vines always caught his back. Rong quickly put down the basket, carefully pushed aside the strawberry vine with her soft paws, and helped Kuki pick a full bunch of red strawberries. "Thank you." Rong Kuki was holding strawberries, her eyes shining brightly. Rong smiled and continued to look for carrots. Finally, in the sunniest place, she found a lush green carrot field. She pulled out one, took a small bite, and the sweet juice immediately filled her mouth. Just as I was about to pull out a few more, I suddenly remembered that the rabbit grandma next door had bad feet and couldn't go out to look for food. Rong immediately filled the bamboo basket with carrots and sent it to Grandma Rabbit's home first. Grandma Rabbit stroked Rong's head and handed over a sweet maltose. "Rong is so good. Here's the candy for you to eat." Rong shook her head, broke the maltose in half, left one half for her grandma, and put the other half in the basket. When I got home in the evening, Rong's basket was filled with carrots and half a piece of maltose, followed by Kuki, who came to deliver strawberries. Two little friends were sitting on the grass, enjoying sweet food while watching the sunset. Rong felt that the carrots today were sweeter than ever before. It turned out that thinking of others and sharing happiness were the happiest things. The bamboo shoot gift from the red panda Tuantuan in the bamboo forest lived a red panda named Tuantuan. His chubby body was wrapped in black and white down. His black eyes were like two shiny black grapes. He walked unsteadily and always held a tender bamboo shoot in his arms. He was extremely cute. That early morning, Tuanchuan carried a small bamboo basket and went to dig bamboo shoots. Just as I found a patch of tender bamboo shoots, I heard a wailing sound. It was the little squirrel Guagu. His pinnacone had fallen into a crevice of a rock and couldn't be pulled out, no matter how hard I tried. Tuanchuan quickly put down the bamboo basket and carefully pushed aside the stones with her round PAWS to help Guagu rescue the pine cones. Guagu, holding a pinnacone, hurriedly said, "Thank you, Tuantuan. I'll give you the most fragrant pine cones." Tuantuan smiled and shook his head, continuing to dig bamboo shoots. It wasn't long before the bamboo basket was full. When passing by the stream, he saw the little hedgehog Kuki squatting by the bank, worried. Kuki wanted to drink the stream water, but it was too deep for him to approach. Tuanchuan immediately picked the tenderest bamboo shoot, broke it into 2 pieces, and used the hollow bamboo sections as small cups to scoop up the stream water and hand it to Kyuki. "Drink it quickly. The water in this bamboo shoot cup is so sweet." After finishing her water, Kiwi's eyes lit up. "Tuantuan, your bamboo shoots are really useful." Tuantuan felt warm in his heart. He divided half of the bamboo shoots in the bamboo basket and gave them to Guagu and Kuki, saying, "Good things should be shared together to be happy." When the sun was setting in the west, 3 friends sat in the bamboo forest, eating bamboo shoots and pine cones while watching the sunset glow. Tuanchuan touched her round belly and felt that the bamboo shoots today were more fragrant than ever before. It turned out that the joy of sharing with friends was even more precious than the sweet bamboo shoots. It's sweet ice cream with summer magic on a summer afternoon. The sun warmed the streets. In the ice cream truck at the street corner, a special ice cream was born, called Tian. Its cone is crispy golden yellow, like a freshly baked small trumpet. It is filled with tender pink strawberry cream and sprinkled with a circle of shiny sugar grains on top. Even the air is filled with a sweet fragrance. Whenever someone passes by, they can't help but take a second look at it. At this moment, the little girl Lele came over with her head down, her eyes red. She had just had a quarrel with her good friend, and it felt like a small stone was blocking her heart. The aunt selling ice cream noticed Lala's unhappiness and smiled as she handed Tian to her, saying, "Try this ice cream that will bring you happiness." Lele took a bite. The strawberry cream melted in her mouth, sweet and cool, as if she had swallowed the summer breeze. The corners of her mouth gradually curled up, and it seemed as if the little stone in her heart had been melted. Lele was holding Tian and had just taken 2 steps when he saw his good friend Duo sitting on the bench, also with her head down, looking unhappy. It turns out that Duo was also sad about the quarrel. Lele hurried over and handed Tian to Duo, saying, "Let's eat together. This ice cream is super sweet." Duo took a bite and her eyes lit up immediately. The 2 children took bites one after another and finished the sweet food in no time. The previous unhappiness vanished as well. They held hands and started running and jumping with smiles as before. The aunt watched their backs and made another ice cream just like Tian's, handing it to the little brother beside her. The little brother had just fallen down and his knee hurt a little. But after taking a bite of the ice cream, he immediately stopped crying and even showed a sweet smile to the aunt. Later, the aunt distributed strawberry-flavored, chocolate-flavored ice cream to the passing children. Each child who got the ice cream had a happy smile on their face. When the sun was setting in the west, the ice cream truck was getting ready to close up. Although the sweet food had been eaten up, its sweetness still lingered on the corners of Lele and Duadwa's mouths. In the laughter of the little brother, and in every corner of the summer street. It turns out that a small ice cream is not only the coolness of summer, but also hides a magic that can make people happy. As long as you share this sweetness, even the slightest unhappiness will be melted into a full load of joy. A heartwarming memory of the continuous grassland, with little sheep and cattle on the green grassland. There lived a special little animal named Mian. It had the soft, curly white fur of a lamb, as if wrapped in a layer of cotton candy, and the round black eyes of a calf, like two shiny black grapes. Everyone affectionately called it Little Lamb Cow. Mian is neither like a lamb that only loves to eat tender grass, nor like a calf that loves to run around everywhere. It likes to stroll leisurely on the grassland the most, and always helps its friends solve small troubles. One early morning, Mian was grazing on the grass when she suddenly heard a ba-ba-ba cry. It was the little lamb Duet. It had come out to eat grass with its mother and accidentally got separated. Standing there, it was so anxious that it was shedding tears. Mian hurriedly ran over and rubbed Duadwu with her soft, curly hair, saying, "Don't be afraid, I'll help you find your mum." It remembered that it had just seen the mother sheep by the flower beds in the east. So it led Duadwo slowly towards the east, and would stop from time to time to let Duadwo take a few bites of the tenderest green grass. It wasn't long before the mother sheep came over anxiously. Duadwo threw herself into her mother's arms. The mother sheep gave a grateful bay to Mian, as if saying, "Thank you." In the morning, Mian met the little cow Juang, who was worried about a pile of green grass. Juang wanted to carry the freshly cut grass home for his younger siblings to eat, but the grass pile was too big for him to pull alone. Mian's eyes lit up, and she said, "Let me help you." It gently pushed against the haystack with its soft little horns on its head. Yes, it also had a pair of small, non-pricking horns, with Guangshuang pulling in front. The two of them worked together with all their might, slowly pushing the haystack towards the calf's home. A passing pony saw this and said with a smile, "Mian and Juangguang are truly the best partners on the grassland." At noon, the sun was a bit scorching. The little animals on the grassland all hid under the big trees to cool off. Mian saw that the little hedgehog Kuki could find a shady spot and was huddled in place, sweating. So she hurried over and let Kuki hide beside her curly hair. Miamian's curly hair was thick and soft, which could block the sunlight. Kuki lay beside it and felt much cooler at once. Kuki shook her little paws at Miamian and handed over a sweet wild strawberry. In the evening, the setting sun dyed the grassland. An orange-red Miamian was sitting under a big tree, surrounded by Duwadwo, Juangwong, and Kugi. They were sharing wild strawberries and green grass cookies. Miamian bit into the sweet wild strawberries, looking at the smiling faces of her friends. Her heart felt warm. It suddenly felt that it was not at all strange to be both a lamb and a calf. It was precisely because of this that it could help different companions. It turns out that no matter what one looks like, as long as there is a heart willing to help, one can become the most popular little animal on the grassland. Such a life on the grassland is sweeter than cotton candy and more fragrant than green grass. A small forest stage with colorful mushrooms blooming everywhere in the forest after the rain. A special mushroom named Duwadwo emerged under the pine tree. Its canopy seems to have been dyed by a rainbow, with red, yellow, pink and blue colors forming circles. The handle of the umbrella is tender white and still covered with shiny water droplets. From a distance, it looks like a small rainbow propped up on the grass, and even the little ants passing by can't help but stop to take a second look. One early morning, the little squirrel Guago skipped by and saw Duardwo's eyes light up. "Wow, you are so beautiful. We are going to have a singing party in the forest, but we haven't found a suitable stage yet." Duardwo shook the umbrella cover as if saying, "I can help." Guago immediately understood and hurriedly ran to gather his friends, little ladybug Dion, little snail man Boo, and little butterfly Hong Hong all came over. Guago held pine cones and placed them around Duwadwo's umbrella cover, using them as small street lamps. Dion flew to the nearby flower beds, picked dewdrops of petals and stuck them on Duwadwo's umbrella handle, as if it were adorned with colorful little bells. Slowly, he would crawl to the brook, carry the shells back into the clear stream water, and sprinkle them on the grass around the mushrooms, filling the air with sweet steam. In the evening, the party was about to start, and all the little animals were gathered around Duwadu. Little butterfly Hong Hong stood on the umbrella cover, singing. When her wings flapped, they cast colorful shadows on the grass, as if she were dancing in circles. Guagu and Diandian clapped their hands to the rhythm, and Mantuen also waved his antennae to keep the beat. Even the nearby rabbit grandma came. She sat on the stone beside Duwadwa and said with a smile, "This colorful mushroom is truly the best little stage in the forest." At the end of the party, Hong Hong gave Duwadwa the brightest petal. Guagu left a fragrant pinna cone, and Diandian gently kissed the umbrella cover. Duwadwo stood on the grass, watching the backs of her friends, feeling warm in her heart. It turned out that her colorful umbrella cover was not only beautiful, but could also become a happy little stage for everyone. In the forest at night, the moonlight falls on the colorful umbrellas, and even the stars seem to be blinking their bright eyes at this special mushroom. Pink sweet pearls in the vineyards on the outskirts. There are bunches of purple and green grapes hanging everywhere. Only in the farthest corner of the grape trellis is there a special bunch of grapes. Its skin is a light pink, as if wrapped in a layer of peach blossom honey. When the sunlight shines, each one sparkles with a gentle light, like a string of pink sweet pearls hanging on the vine. One early morning, the little squirrel Guago came to the vineyard to look for nuts and was suddenly attracted by the pink color in the corner. It stood on tiptoe, clinging to the grape trellis, and its eyes suddenly lit up. Wow, I've never seen such beautiful grapes. Just as I was about to take a bite, I remembered that the little rabbit next door, Rongrong, loved sweet grapes the most. So I held back my saliva, gently held the grape bunch in my arms, and ran towards Rongrong's home. Rongrong saw the pink grapes and her ears pricked up. What a sweet fragrance! But it touched the bunch of grapes and shook its head, saying, "Such beautiful grapes should be tasted by everyone." So the two friends carried the bunch of grapes and went to look for the little hedgehog. Kuki back could hold many things, which was just right to safely deliver the grapes to the square. When the three little animals came to the square, the little bee buzzed and the little butterfly was happy. Guogo carefully picked a pink grape and handed it to Wang Wang, saying, "Taste it first. You help the vineyard gather honey. You should be the first to eat." Buzzing took a bite, his eyes curved into crescent moons, sweeter than nectar. Everyone took one after another. The sweetness of the pink grapes spread in their mouths, and everyone's face lit up with smiles. Finally, there was only one grape left. Goago gave it to his grandpa, who was looking after the vineyard. "Grandpa, this is the sweetest grape in the vineyard. Here you go." Grandpa took the grapes and patted Guago's head with a smile, saying, "The sweetest thing is that you are willing to share." Under the setting sun, the little animals were sitting beside the grape trellis. With the sweet taste of pink grapes still lingering in their mouths. Looking at the gradually darkening sky, they suddenly felt it turns out that sharing beautiful things with everyone, happiness will grow like a grapevine, long and sweet, even with a sweet fragrance wafting in the wind. The warm magic of the little flowers on the windowsill on the little girl's round desk. There was a small pot of flowers named Duadwo. Its flower pot is light blue, like a small teacup. The petals are tender pink, and the center of the flower is wrapped with a small golden ball. Every morning it quietly unfurls its petals, smiling at the sun outside the window. Even when the wind passes by the windowsill, it will carry its faint fragrance into the room. That morning, Yuan was on her way to the kindergarten with her school bag on her back. Before leaving, she squatted beside a flower pot and gently touched each petal, saying, "I'm going to learn new drawing today. I'll tell you when I come back." Duadwo shook the leaves as if saying, "Come on." But in the afternoon, it suddenly began to drizzle. Yuan forgot to close the window. The raindrops pattered dada on the petals of each flower. It quickly gathered the petals closer to the center. Fearing that the raindrops would break it, it was still waiting to hear Yuan Yuan tell the story of its new painting. In the evening, when Yuan Yuan came back from school, she saw water droplets on Duadua's petals. She quickly closed the window and took a small towel to gently wipe the water off the petals, saying, "I'm sorry, Duaduo, I let you get wet in the rain." Duaduo didn't seem to be angry. Instead, it slowly unfurled its petals, bringing the most fragrant scent to Yuan Yuan's side. It turned out that it had been hiding the fragrance of flowers all day long, just waiting for Yuanyuan to come back. A few days later, Yuanyuan's good friend Lele came to her home to play. Lele had been a bit unhappy recently because her little hamster had gone to heaven. Yuanyuan pulled Lele and squatted by the windowsill, pointing at Duaduo and saying, "Look, Duaduo blooms every day. Even when it rains, she doesn't wilt." It's as if she's saying, "Be happy." Lele stared at the tender pink petals, one by one. Suddenly, she smelled a faint fragrance, and the corners of her mouth slowly curled up. Really, its fragrance is sweet, like the smell of melon seeds that the little hamster used to gnaw on. Since then, Yuanyuan has watered Duoduo and told her stories every day, and Lele often comes to talk to Duoduo. The petals bloomed more and more brightly, and the fragrance grew stronger and stronger. Even the little birds passing by downstairs would stop on the windowsill, smell the flowers, and then fly away. Yuan Yuan touched Duadua's leaves and suddenly understood. It turns out that a small pot of flowers is not just for beauty. It can also hide a warm magic, spreading happiness to everyone and quietly taking away sadness. With Duoduo on the windowsill, every day becomes as soft and sweet as petals.